Hello, hello, welcome, beautiful human beings listening to us or watching us on YouTube. In a world where traditional paths to success feel out of sync with the heart, we're creating our own. Join us, Kristen and I am Ghislaine, as we navigate the twists and turns of choosing an authentic life and businesses. We share our personal challenges, we celebrate breakthroughs, and we explore the unfiltered realities of life. Through laughter, tears, and raw honesty, we hold space for each other, we reflect what we can't yet see, and we keep each other accountable. This is for those daring to live and be in alignment with their hearts. Let's walk this path together. And I feel like adding, sometimes we use bad words.
Well, you just did. And sometimes we don't talk properly.
Yes, exactly.
Not for all ears.
No, exactly. Well, no, you know, you can make a choice, a conscious choice based on all this information. So, how are you, Kristen?
I'm
Hmm.
all right.
Okay.
How are you doing?
Okay, let's talk about me.
Yeah, yeah.
I
How
hear
are you?
you. I hear you. Let's talk about me. Well, there's actually something that I really wanted to discuss with you. So I'm really happy that we are here. I have been challenged by being in groups and in spaces where not everybody brings in the same amount of energy. So I'm not really talking about, time or responses or organization things, because this can vary. Yes, sometimes one person has more time than the other one, and then you will be more present, and that's completely okay. But sometimes there are situations in some, you have a group of friends, or that you know each other for a long time, or you attend a course and you create a group to continuing to keep the vibe up on the course, and to stay in the teachings of the course. You create a small group and you get together once in a while. That's the kind of situations I'm speaking about. So energy goes and comes, which is very logical, especially when we speak about, creating a world from feminine energetics. It's about, sometimes we women need something else than just this really structure, and they're waiting for me at 5, so I'll be there at 5. So, there is a little bit of flowiness that is perfectly okay and perfectly fine with me. But what I notice, and it ties to different things, so bear with me. What I notice is that I tend to feel like, in a group, when you've been coming together for quite some time, and some people completely go, like, they're not present, they never react, they are never really also not sharing that they can't be present. I feel that that kind of situations, that leaks my energy. It's like there's an open space, and there's my presence, my full presence, and sometimes less presence, because that's what happens. But I'm always letting people know that I can't be there, or I won't be there, or I need a change in something. So I am consciously present in the group and keeping the space for me as pure as possible. I'm going to say pure is not really the good word, but as
Clean?
mm, huh?
Clean?
Yes, thank you very much. That's a better word. As clean as possible from my side. And so what I've been contemplating is that whenever there is, from the group or from some people in the group, that they are never there and they're never present, that gives me this leaking of energy idea. So it feels like I'm in, and they are sucking my energy out because they are in but not really present. And for me, when I notice that kind of things, I leave a group when I feel, okay, this is not, I'm not present anymore. I probably, there is something, I'll just step out. But this idea of me that my energy is leaking, that makes me leave or want people to leave. But I mean, I can't make people leave. So what I do is that I extract myself because I feel my energy is leaking. But something, so this is where I want your wise wisdom on. I also have the tendency to flee. So this is a theme that came up a little bit at the end of last year, but this is something that has always been present in my life. And well, I know where I got it from, but maybe that person is going to listen. So one day, well, you never know who listens in. So, you know, I mean, it's out there on the internet. So I won't name any names, but it's a member of my family.
Shocked. A
Yeah,
family member?
So anyhow, and the tendency to flee, it's a tendency to flee and a tendency to close the door to things that are not aligned anymore. So there is something very pure and beautiful in that I really protect myself and guard myself and keep my standards clean. And so in the past, I used to do that kind of things from a place of hurt. And I worked through this and I found the balance. I found the balance in not being in the space anymore because it's really not aligned with me anymore, and fleeing. Yes, so I found this balance. But in this situation, I'm just wondering, why do I feel? Well, why do I feel? You can't tell me why I feel something, or maybe you can. If you can, tell me. Anyhow, the question is, why do I feel like my energy is leaking just because there is a name on a list of attendants or in a list of people, and that person is just never there? It feels like they are, yeah, my energy is leaking, so it feels like they are stealing my energy, which is a little bit weird, but go with me with that. Stealing my energy, and that I'm putting energy in. Maybe that's it. I'm putting energy in that's not coming back to me. Aha. So there's a little bit more of the explanation of the leaking. But still, so my first intention would be, okay, I'm gonna leave because I can't make them leave, unfortunately. So, to resume this very long introduction, it feels like I've been speaking for hours, but to resume, I'm wondering, how can I find the balance between keeping my energy to myself, well, for myself, but still bringing in my joy and wisdom and, well, energy to the group, without having it just nag at me and go like, yes, but, because somewhere there's this voice also that's, it's all there at the same time. But I feel this sensation, and it's been coming up because I'm like, okay, I'm going to leave this group because I don't want it like this, because this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking to be surrounded with people like you and me. That's why we did this podcast. You and me are on the same level of energy. We bring in the same amount of work, I'm going to say, and we are both like, okay, let's go and let's do it. And we keep in touch about that. And if so that's why it's working.
It's there's an accountability aspect as well.
Yes. And this is the kind of people that I want to surround myself with. I want to be surrounded with Kristens everywhere.
It sounds like some people's worst nightmare.
Da, na, 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 na.
Face.
Oh my God, Kristen, you're here also? Okay.
I'm glad that's not your worst nightmare, but it sounds like some people's worst nightmare.
I'm making it visual for people so they can really, get into the vibe of Kristen. But so my heart's desire is to work with people, to
Mhm.
share my life, my heart, my joy with people that are on the same level as I am. That sounded like I'm at the same level as I.
I know what you mean.
Yes. That's not a bad wish. That's very good because that's feeding me and that's supporting me in creating more things and creating new things and in really going forward in bringing my energy and my joy into the world on a personal or on a professional level.
Mhm.
But still there is something that's so my question, or I'm looking for reflections on, am I an utopian? Yes? Is it utopic to believe that you only can be surrounded with the people that are matching your everything? Well, everything is maybe a little bit, but that are matching your energy and your accountability? Or is it just that then, the energy leaves and it's my time also to leave?
Right.
What do you think?
I have a whole bunch of stuff for you.
Wow! Yes, yes, yes. I hoped
So
you were going to say that.
one thing I would suggest is, like we've talked about this before, is looking at like the decommitting aspect, but really looking at like your intentions behind it.
Behind decommitting.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because, and then for those that you are, because there may be things you feel you're putting in. It's more about you feel, from what you've shared, I feel like it's about you feeling you're putting in much more effort than other people. And you're like, there's an aspect, or is there an aspect of feeling disrespected for your
Yes.
time?
I think yes. Well, yes, because I believe that yes, definitely. I don't expect everyone else to. Um, yes, it's feeling disrespected in how committed you are to a space. When you enter a space and you know that you're not going to be available for a meeting or for a gathering or for whatever, it's logical that for me, it's logical that you share this. And yes, there's always an exception to the rule, I agree. But it feels really disrespectful for my time, my energy, and the work that I put into it, but more the energy of it.
Because from a like with the energy aspect, and this may feel triggering, but like, so warning.
Trigger warning.
Trigger warning.
I have a safe space here, it's okay.
Where's my blanket? So from a like energy aspect, we cannot leak our energy unless we're allowing it.
Yes, thank you. Okay, it was
So,
a little bit triggering. Yes.
oh, I know. That's why it came with a warning. And this is, I mean, I experience similar things, right? Like I have to remind myself that it's one thing I've really been doing is lately when things come up and I'm like, I chose this.
Yes.
I chose this. I chose, like I was doing a process on my with someone the other day on myself, and through it I had so much emotions come up and I had so much anger come up, and I literally had to sit and be like, I chose this, no one did this to me. I chose this, no one did this to me. Like I had to sit with that until the anger like dissipated. But looking at it from like, so what aspect of it? So first, like, do you really want to decommit, or is it redefining the terms of your involvement? because redefining is like shifting the expectation of the group, because the energy leakage or the energy like feeling that disrespected is because we put out expectations. So we're like in some ways like projecting expectations, and then we're not receiving what we are expecting. And so then there's this feeling of disrespected because we expected them to behave a certain way. We expected the group to be a certain thing for us or help us create a certain thing. And then when that our expectations aren't met, or what we feel we need from the group isn't met, we can feel like, we can feel many ways. So like looking at it from like, how can I redefine this for myself? And then maybe even looking at it within the group, how do we want to see, like, and having it be the new year would be a good time to, like, as a group say, like, how do we want to redefine this group? Because there are cycles, like everyone has those cycles in life, and so do our groups, our off, everything has cycles. And so having respect for the cycles as well, and realizing that like what maybe their presence right now isn't at a point of a cycle where their focus needs to be elsewhere. And then allowing yourself the same thing. Because a lot of times where we feel like something is bothering us, it's because we won't allow it for ourselves.
Yes.
So those are three kind of different perspectives on it.
Well,
or just send them this podcast.
For what? Sorry.
I said, or just send them the podcast and tell them to listen. And they'll know how you feel.
Well,
you don't even have to have a conversation, just send it to them.
Yeah, but that's passive aggressive. Then I have other shits to work on. So no, yeah, we'll address it.
I was joking.
Yeah.
I didn't really mean that.
It's okay. It's okay. You know, maybe other people will send to this podcast. They feel like me, and they will send this podcast to other friends, saying, "Oh, listen to this. This is very interesting."
Well, I think it is a good conversation to have, because in any group, and actually even looking at the groups, because I went through a thing with a group where I was removed and without conversation, and it was with people I loved, and I was in a place where I was going through a cycle. So like, our energy isn't necessarily supposed to be consistent in every area of our life all the time. So it has that flow. So allowing yourself that flow as well. But having the conversation, I think, is the most important thing, because when you don't have the conversation, it feels very abrupt. It feels very, it actually feels like a massive violation.
Well, and that's the fleeing. That's the fleeing that I used to do from a pattern of hurt. I just used to not engage anymore and not be present anymore, and then using the excuse, well, this is what happens in life. We know we change, and sometimes we are more aligned with some people, and then this is what happened. Life happens. But it came from a place for me of still wanting to engage with that person, but also not wanting to keep on running after people, which is also something that changed a lot in my relationship with my families. But that's a different area. So it has a lot of aspects. But so definitely what you said, and that's why I couldn't grasp the energy leaking. But very clearly, which I completely acknowledge and owe, is I'm letting the energy leak. And why am I letting the energy leak is because my expectations of what this groups of people, because it's happening in several groups at the moment, these groups of people, what I expect from them. And probably there is something for me to look at, because I sense that it has a lot to do with me sensing and feeling my value because they respond to me in the same way as I act towards them. So it's the basic idea that I exist because others witness me, so to say, in the broader perspective. Yes. So there's something of an insecurity there, and I don't feel that it's really important. Well, I feel that it's important for me to address that leakage of energy and the expectations that I have. And then why do I expect so much from those group of people? Because I love them and I want them to love me as much as I love them. And if they go completely haywire in a group, that's because they don't love me.
So it's releasing that aspect that, like, because how they are in a group has nothing to do. I mean, I know you know that. I know you know this.
Yes.
Right? Like
I know you know that I
we
know
all
that you know
it logically, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, but some, yeah, it's just please
but
go
we're
on.
also,
Yes, it's
we're
good. It's
also
good to hear things. Yes.
Yeah. So like it has like how they show up. Interesting. Like how they show up for themselves has no reflection on how much they love or care about you.
Yes, that's true.
It has a reflection on how they love and care about themselves. And also about their priorities at this time. It might not. Thank you. It's coming.
It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's building. You're building the
energy. It's like I release through tears and sneezing and all the fun things. So that's like, so it's no reflection on how they feel about you, but it's also not a reflection on how much they value you, in a sense of at that time in their life, it could be there just other priorities that feel more pressing.
Yes. And I value them. And I show up consistently and in the way that I show up because I value them, because that's my way of showing my love to them.
I love language.
Yes, that's my love language. And as they do not do the same, I
don't feel
loved. Yeah.
Comes back to love every time. Yeah. Every time it always comes back to love. What's love got to do with it?
What's love got to do with it? Well,
and because it's showing up in a lot of areas, I would say this is also relevant for me right now, of course, but because it's showing up in a lot of areas, I would say it's definitely a way to like look at this pattern.
Yes, that's the invitation. That's exactly. But I was, yes, and that's exactly why I wanted also to discuss it with you, because everything that shows up and that keeps on, well, you can describe it in two ways. Or it's knocking on the door, or it's nagging at you. It's not going away. Either way, it's not going away. But it is an invitation to look deeper at it, because it's not about it's not about the leaking of the energy. It's not about it's about the deeper what we uncovered, it's about me not feeling love because they respond in a certain way. And I need to detach that, because otherwise I'm never going to be, I want to say, be able to stand on my both legs. But I mean, it's not exactly that. But then if it shows up in such a situation, in a very safe environment with people that I know truly appreciate me and love me, what is it going to do with me, and how is it going to bring me off my socle? Is that an English word? Yeah.
Off,
Of my
off,
of my
off
socle,
axis, off center,
off center. That's the better English word.
off.
Yes, if it brings me already off center in a space that is filled with people that I know respect me and I know love me based on all the experiences that we had together, how is it going to bring me off balance in situations that are taking me even more off, that are taking me off guard? So this is the invitation that is present for me now, is to really fully affirm myself in my love for myself, and knowing that other people's actions do not define how they feel and think about me.
Because it defines how they are feeling and thinking about
Themselves, yes.
And it's not all, it's also about priorities and what works for people, right? Because in some, in one group I'm in, there are so many channels.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many, like if I don't check it a day, there's like 50 messages
Mm-hmm.
and voice notes. And then it's like, and it's not like it's not linear, where it's like all over the place. And like for me, that just doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Like it causes me so much stress.
Yeah.
And it's not how I process information. It's not how, like, so for me, like, and this is a paid container.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, like for a while, then I was beating myself up and shaming myself because I couldn't make it work. And then finally I was like, fuck it. Like, I'll go to the calls, and that's really all. And occasionally I'll check in, and
Yeah.
that's fine, because that method does not work for me.
Yeah.
And like, so and it's too, like, I'm already all over the place. Like I have, like, so for me, like in a container that feels like, and then having 5 different chats and 5 like threads, I'm like, I need one, and I need it to be more like
Linear.
yeah, because
More in one.
and that's for me, because my feminine flow is here, there,
Yes.
and then and flowing with that. But I need the masculine energy to like focus me. Otherwise, I'd never be anywhere. If I didn't have my phone that had alarms to remind me to show up,
Yeah.
like I wouldn't show up for anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, because it's and maybe it's also that aspect that like there aren't, like, not everyone has the structures in place, those masculine, because you at the beginning you mentioned that like masculine energy coming and bringing us in, and like maybe not everyone has those structures in place.
No, but would you say this is in all areas of your life, or that you don't have the masculine structure in place? Or is it just in some areas?
For me, I've put those structures in place,
Yeah.
because I so if we, I mean, this is like more out, like branching into other things, but like, I have ADHD, I have dyslexia, I have like a bunch of neuro, whatever we want to call it, those labels,
Yeah, they call it
neurodivergent,
neurodivergent. Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
which like I don't really, that's a whole nother topic. I don't really do labels anymore, but because of the way my brain is and I work and function,
Mm-hmm.
those masculine structures are really important for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gone from the so rigid structures to the and feminine flow. I couldn't get shit done in feminine flow
Yeah.
because it just I was like, oh, how we'll see how I feel. We'll like, which is like really important. But we also live in the 3D. There has to be balance. There has to be balance. And for me, I'm no like I'll let go of structure. I've learned to like let go of structures, but I've also had to then come back into the middle and learn like what things do I need to function as
Yes.
like in my best, like in the best way possible for me. And in that, like with that aspect, because then it would lead to me not showing up.
Mm-hmm.
It would lead like not just not showing up for myself because I wasn't, because I needed those structures to show up for myself.
Yeah. So what you are saying is that you choose for everything that you do outside of your own organization to
Mm-hmm.
be structured according to the masculine energetics, so to say, so that you can let go in there and you can hold yourself in the areas that you need to hold yourself in.
Yeah, I think it comes into that. Yes
Mm,
and no. Like I think that the amount of, if I'm, the amount of structure is dependent on the activity.
mm,
But like for business, for group calls, for things like that, I have to have structure. Otherwise, my whole day will disappear.
yeah.
Like I lose time all the time. That
Mm-hmm.
sounds, I lose time all the time. But like time can just vanish for me.
Yeah.
And so I like there's like I have even like the way I set things up, I have multiple like things that keep me accountable to myself. So it goes back to that accountability aspect.
Mm-hmm.
But if people are having trouble being accountable with themselves and not being clear on what works for them and doesn't work for them, then or aren't exploring what works and doesn't work for them, then they can't show up for anyone else. I was starting
Yes.
to wonder where I was going with that, but
Yeah, yeah,
it
but
came.
this is very
It came.
interesting. Yes, 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 yes. So
Then sometimes I'm
it's
like, where
well,
am I going?
yeah, yeah. So it's the it's the reflection of how other people hold themselves that make us, well, that make me go into something a little bit wobbly. And then again, I need to bring the masculine structure of loving myself first. I was wondering why I was going with that, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
bringing in the masculine structure of loving myself first, and the account. But yeah, so this is funny because it's then accountability towards
Mm-hmm.
yourself.
And I think in for them, from their perspective, it could go into their view of choosing themselves first.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they're choosing themselves first, and right now they're overwhelmed, and like for me with the other group, like if they're like it's overwhelming, or I like have things that feel so pressing that I need to focus on them first, or for other people in groups it could be family or some other thing, and they feel they're choosing themselves by not showing up, it's perspective.
Yeah, it is, but I have kind of like, I have troubles. Well, I have difficulties accepting, well, seeing this, how this can work, because if everybody on this planet just would prioritize themselves always, all the time, this doesn't feel like a world where it's cozy and comfortable being with each other. We spoke about this already. We spoke about this when we were speaking about relationships, but it's the same in any situation. Sometimes I'm just really, I feel good in my own skin. I don't have those insecurities that make me, because it's always like this. Yes, now at this moment, I'm feeling not loved because people are not responding. This is a very short compounding, what's the word that I'm looking for? Uh, well, it's in short what I discussed in the beginning. Yes. So, but it's not. I'm not always like this. This is coming now up because I believe there is something for me, something deeper for me to understand. But I also have plenty of moments that I'm really on top of my game. I'm happy. I'm feeling wonderful. Then if I can choose myself and just stay here and, oh yeah, but now I feel like, drinking from a blue bottle, so I won't go to the meeting.
I was like, you must have a blue bottle next to you.
I do. Or I can say, I'll take the blue bottle with me to the meeting and I'll be there for my sisters that are maybe a little bit in need of my fantastic vibe. It's a much better world than, I'm sorry, but I'll stay in my high vibe with my blue bottle and fuck you. Because this is sometimes how it feels when we talk about prioritizing yourself. I'm always prioritizing I don't understand how this works. I still don't. And that's something that I've been trying to understand last year already. This is something that came up and I have no idea.
I think if I was gonna I think it goes to that definition of what does it mean to prioritize yourself, and everyone has different definitions, right?
Yes, that's true.
And so, to me, prioritizing myself doesn't mean not doing something I don't want to do.
That's nice. I like that.
Because I wouldn't do shit if I mean, in the sense of it's so much of the things that I want for myself it goes back to the comfort zone, right? How often do we want to really put ourselves out there where we don't know the results or we're uncomfortable? And so that's not prioritizing myself. Staying comfortable isn't prioritizing myself.
No, that's true.
I wouldn't do anything. So I think it goes into these definitions of what does it mean to a person to prioritize themselves?
And where does it come from? Where does it come from? Are you prioritizing yourself because you are in need of reaffirming who you are based on shit that you haven't solved, traumas or patterns or however you want to call them? Or are you prioritizing yourself because you then know how to be or tap into how to be the best version for yourself, of yourself, for yourself, and for others? Because this is a co-creation. Yes?
Well, I think it goes back to the love aspect. I was in the sense of
sorry,
prioritizing. She just flipped me off, by the way, everybody.
Oh, no, not you. Just love. Love. I flipped love.
For everyone listening, let me just tell you what no, I know it wasn't towards me. Because I think it comes back to that, is it aligned in love? And when you prioritize yourself, oh no, did you freeze? Oh no. Like, is it, are
Well,
you there?
she was,
Oh,
yes, you're
oh, there.
back.
Okay.
I was
Whew,
filling
I
in the
was like,
blanks.
glitch,
Okay.
glitch.
The energy is
Um,
too high. I don't know what you want to say, but
like, is it aligned in love? And like when you choose yourself, is it aligned in love? Because if you're choosing, because that is really choosing yourself. And we can go into like the whole woo woo aspect of like we're all one, so choosing myself is choosing you, like whatever we won't go there. But
let's
like,
please.
you're like,
I'm
no.
making a lot of faces this time. You need to watch me on YouTube, people.
She's facially processing everything I'm saying. um because if it's not, like, it goes into that, if it's not right for you, it can't be right for someone else if it's aligned in love, right? So if you're looking at a relationship, we are really jumping all over the place, but it impacts all areas, right? Like,
Yes, it does.
so if you're looking at a relationship and one person wants out and is like and is done and knows this person is not for them,
Mm-hmm.
and hasn't left because they feel like it's right for the other person, that's bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Because
that's true.
if it's not, like, if it's not the right choice for you, it can't be the right choice for the other person, and you're not doing the other person a favor.
Mm, that's true.
And I think looking at it like in that way, kind of where it's like much more intense view of how like it plays out versus like a friendship, but in the alignment of love, like making choices from that place of what's the right choice for me,
Mm-hmm.
and is showing up the right choice for me, because sometimes it might not be.
Mm-hmm.
And of course that's a process for everybody.
Yeah.
Like everyone's moving through that process on this planet, but like, um and I'd say like with the groups, one, I think it's the conversation, a conversation that, or redefine the terms,
Mm-hmm.
redefine the expectations.
Yes. And then also myself, for myself,
Like,
why am I entering this group for? What is it that I wish to receive from this group, this constellation, from this time, from my time and my energy that I put in it? Yeah.
and because we as souls, like we are, especially like we're always shifting and changing, always. And so the, as is anything we create, as a group, as an offer, as anything, it shifts and changes with us, whether we're aware of it or not. When
Mm-hmm.
you have a group of people who are all shifting and changing, the energy of the group changes.
Yes.
And so it's in that knowing that, but like then coming back, maybe it's every 3 months, 6 months,
Yeah.
for yourself or within the group, looking at what is the intention of this group, and maybe doing that, like, let's all put our intentions in this group so we know, like, we have a clear sense of where we're all standing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and we are continuously evolving, so it's not realistic to suspect a group or a group dynamic to stay the same.
Mhm. Because even when things like, even with things like my Facebook group, like the other day I was like, oh, this title doesn't work for me anymore, and it's
Mm,
only been like 3 months.
yeah.
And I'm like, that's not like, I'm like, then I went into, well, am I changing it on everybody in the group? Am I changing this? Like, and then I would, but then it's like that progression of the group, which has happened in other groups we've been in, like
Mm-hmm.
where things shift and change. and then it's like, but this wasn't the intent
Yes.
initially.
Yeah.
So even looking at like, and then being okay when it doesn't align anymore.
Yeah.
And it is
And
different, like in paid containers versus like aspects of that. But I think in certain things, you know, like we've talked about this before too, when you're in a long-term container. I'm really sorry about this light situation.
yeah, you are being lightened up by the sun. It's beautiful. Yes.
But like when we are in paid containers, we've talked about this, how a year is a long time to be in a paid container
Mm-hmm.
because of all the shifting and changing.
Mm-hmm. We all go through. Yes. Yeah.
Because the um and I don't want to say like, oh, I never will run a year container, but I think a year container, like people in the group change drastically, their needs change drastically, like the instructor changes drastically, or the mentor or the coach. So it's like, and it's that time and season aspect too,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because and having the flow and being okay with that.
So the changes are can be more allowed from the feminine energetics, because I believe that if a man steps into a year container and nothing changes, or a man will just, it will just change along with them, and there will be no need of restructuring everything because it doesn't align anymore with what they are offering. So the changes will come from the feminine energetics, but then the question is also, how do you bring those changes in? Do you bring the changes in from the feminine energetics, or do you bring the changes in from the masculine structure, with the knowing why you are changing things, and how, and why and how, and also allowing people to then not be in alignment with that anymore?
Well, and I think um it's interesting because in some ways I think maybe not in certain groups, but in other groups I think the permission to leave is
Mm-hmm.
important. Like if this is no, because I think people stay in things out of obligation too.
Yeah.
So I think there's an aspect, so there's really no good answer. No. But that's the conclusion. We're done.
Yeah.
But like, because I think people stay in things out of obligation
Mm-hmm.
because they love you, or they love like the people in the group, or because it might not be, it goes back to, if it's not good for me, it might not be good for you either.
Mm-hmm.
So like it might not be working for them and they're staying in it. I mean, these are all different possibilities, and
Yeah,
there's
so when you
because of
restructure something for yourself, while you change, everything around you is going to ask for that restructuration.
mm,
And you started with the idea of decommitting and restructuring something, then how do you bring it? How do you bring it? Do you bring it from a place of, oh, I got this idea and now I'm gonna change everything, and 2 months later you're gonna change it again because it wasn't aligned in the first, it was aligned, but you were still looking for things. So how prepared are you when, while you feel the change, while you feel that things are shifting for you, how prepared are you to stay with the old while you allow the changes in you until you fully know what the new is, and then step into the new and being able to guide other people if it's a container where there's guidance given and received, or within the groups that I am in where we are all sharing from the same role, I'm going to say. it's the same. It's the same process. Am I going to step into the groups now and create maybe misaligned or create a misunderstanding because I'm like, oh, something is shifting, I don't know what, and la 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 la. Or am I allowing myself to take myself through those waves, and when those waves have settled and I know how it is exactly that I want from that container, from that group of people, stepping back in and stating that. That's the
Well,
difference.
I think that, yeah, the difference is in, are you reacting or responding?
Merci. This is like a short version of what I just like said in all those words. I mean, well, I'm French, so I got an
I
excuse.
mean, but because we shouldn't in any situation, and we do have to start wrapping this up, but like in any situation, we should be responding and not reacting.
I agree. Exactly. Exactly.
And so, but for me, like with my Facebook group, I'm letting, because this was one thing with me in the business aspect, I wasn't starting because I wanted to have like what it was going to look like. And then what it was going to look like was always shifting and changing and shifting and changing. So then I was like never starting. And so then finally I was like, fuck it, I have to start. And so, and even if I don't know what it looks like, I have to start. And then I am shifting and changing. And then, and with that, I did like, okay, it's going to look like this for 3 months. And then at 3 months, I'll reevaluate.
Yeah.
And then I'll do another 3 months. And in that, like, it's shifted and changed over the 3 months, and I've allowed it to in certain ways. And then I've also kept things similar. Like, but at the end of the 3 months, like, I'm not sure the name really resonates with me anymore. Like, I mean, peaceful living, like, yes, but I want joyful living. I don't want just live in peace. I mean, I do want peace, but like, I want like orgasmic living. I probably won't name it that, but like, I don't, but like, I want something that brings that in.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so what is it? Or do I just call it Kristen Moore? You know, like, so these are all things, but I'm not responding immediately to the first option. I'm not reacting.
Exactly.
I'm processing. And then I'm like, okay, at 3 months, then I'll respond.
Yeah. Exactly. So you feel the waves of what is coming in and happen and changing in you and with you. You tune into that and then you go. Yeah.
So what's the next steps as we close up?
For me, it's definitely redefining why I am present in those groups and what I am bringing in and what I want to receive in return. That's for me. Yes. Thank you.
So the invite from today is, what areas of your life need redefining? Relationships, groups, friendships, projects, offers. It's a big, maybe start small, pick one.
Well, maybe also just, your fridge or the way your bedroom is organized or what you have hanging on the walls. It can be small, it can be big. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it doesn't have to be life altering in a massive way.
Don't divorce.
No, that's not, I said redefining, not like jumping out the window.
Exactly, but we need to be specific, yes?
I said redefining, not jumping out. Like, let's be clear. Redefining, and then looking at our own expectations, because when we're like projecting, we project, and everyone does it. We project our expectations on something, and then when it's not meeting our expectations, it's not comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And it leads to feelings of either being disrespected, disappointed,
Not loved.
used,
Yes.
unloved,
Yes, exactly.
and then making the choice from, is it aligned for your highest and best in love?
Exactly.
Because if it's not aligned in love, then it can't be for your highest and best.
Mm-hmm.
For you, because someone else can think they're coming from love, but it's not for you. So,
Thank you.
and that is all. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful week.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.